All right, guys, sometimes on a graph we see open circles and closed circles. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that actually means. Okay, so first off, when you have an open circle, it's going to represent a less than, okay? But it could also, well, meaning the open circle point is excluded. So if you have 2 is less than x, then x has to be, everything has to be on the other side, and that point is not included. Okay, but you can also use an open circle to represent a greater than. Okay, when you have a closed circle colored in, that's going to denote less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. Okay, so less than or equal to meaning that the point is included. So you would say x is less than or equal to 2, meaning the x values can be anything less than 2, but it can also mean 2. Okay, so same thing, if you have a closed circle, can also represent greater than or equal to. Okay, just a couple anchor charts. I want to show you the domain. I like to highlight my x-axis, and then it's as far left. We're going to measure from left to right. As far left as the graph goes, and as far right as the graph goes. Okay, it's not always based on the 2 points. Okay, so here you would have a domain of 9 and 8, meaning, and then the closed circles mean less than or equal to. So you have negative 9 less than or equal to your x values, which is your domain, and then less than or equal to 8. Okay, so again, you read from left to right, and then from smallest x value to largest x value. Using the same graph, let's look at how the range works. Okay, notice that I did not go from my 2 points. Okay, I go from the lowest part of the graph to the highest part of the graph. And again, when I'm working this on paper, I would highlight my y-axis, just easiest for me, find the lowest part and highlight over, and then find the highest part and then highlight over. Then you have your 2 values. So your y can be anywhere between -7 and 5. Okay, it does not have a closed circle, but it technically does have a closed little circle here. Just means it's closed data. That means it can be less than or equal to. So we're going to look at the bottom inequality. So it says -7 is less than or equal to y, less than or equal to 5. All right, so what is the domain and the range of the function? Okay, well, first off, it's a discrete function. So you're going to use set notation. So in other words, the data is going to be listed. So the best part is, or the easiest way to do this is to label all your ordered pairs. Remember, x goes first and then your y. Okay, so I have 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, and 9, 3. I tried to color code this so it's a little bit easier to see. Your x values is your first value, and then your y value is your second value. So we're going to list the domain, all of your x values, in order from least to greatest. So if you were looking just here and I put all of these points on the x-axis, you would then have 2, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Okay, the next thing would be to list the range in order from least to greatest. So instead of going left to right, my range goes up and down. Well, my smallest range values are the bottom. So you're going to read this bottom to top, and you're going to list those in order from least to greatest. So you have 1, 3, 4. So 1, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. All right, so when you have 2 endpoints, you're going to look for the domain is all x values between 2 points. Okay, just because it's continuous, it's connected. So again, domain is x values. Okay, so we're going to look at, I'm coming over here, I have -4 as far left as it goes, and then I also have 5, which is as far right as it goes. Okay, again, I like to take and then draw it down to where my x-axis is. So your points are going to be between -4 and 5. And I would say this is the hardest thing to actually get down. Once you do, you know that your domain is your x. Okay, so again, domain is all x values. Okay, so closed circle means less than or equal. But on this side, I have an open circle, which means just less than. Okay, so that's how I'm going to write this, because this would be my first value, and then this will be my second value. So I should have x falls anywhere between -4 and +5. Okay, so it can be -4, but it also can be -3, -2, -1, all the way into 5, but 5 would not be included because of the less than symbol. All right, so let's look at the range. Okay, so again, the range is the possible y values. You read that from bottom to the top. So you have -2 and +4. So your two values is anywhere between your range is anywhere between these two values. So you have y in the middle, and then you look at your symbols. So you have, this is where the -2 is, it's the closed circle, so it's the less than or equal. Because this is the open circle by the 4, that's where your less than goes. So you have -2 is less than or equal to y, which is less than 4. Right, another example, this time you have three, it looks like 3 data points, but all of this is connected, so it's continuous. Okay, because of that, we're going to look at our domain. Our domain are all of our x values. So find how far left and how far right the graph goes. So it looks like our possible x values are between -5 and 2. So the domain, and then you look at your closed circles. So all of the closed circles meaning less than or equal to. So we're going to write this. I like to start with the x, okay? And then the two symbols, because of the closed circles, are going to be less than or equal to. And I already found my two values. It's between -5 and +2. So looking at the range, you're still going to find all of your y values, but you're going to go from bottom to top instead of left to right. So the bottom value is going to be -2, and it goes all the way up to +4. So you can say that your two values is going to be anywhere between the -2 and 4. Sticking with the closed circles, we're going to write our inequalities, and our y is in the middle. Okay, then we have our range is anywhere between -2 and +4. All right, here's a big one. What do we do when we don't have two endpoints? All right, so when we have a graph that looks like this, and there's an endpoint on one side and there's an arrow, let me show you what the best way to do is. I would personally label the endpoint, okay? So the endpoint is the little circle right here that we have. All this arrow means is it keeps going. We don't know when it stops. We don't know where it stops. All we know is it keeps going. Okay, so we have an open circle. Well, I know where that is. Okay, so label your point. Start with your x value and then your y. Okay, so you have the point 3, 7. Okay, so you have the point 3, 7. And then it's important to note that this is an open circle, which means less than, okay, or greater than, okay, depending on what we're going to use it for. So we have our domain, which is our x values. So we have x. And in this case, the only value we have is 3. Well, here's my 3. That means all of your x values, all of your domain is 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, and it keeps going, 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 meaning that x is going to be less than 3. Anything less than 3 is in the domain. Okay, so meaning the domain or x values are any value less than 3. So doing the same thing with our range, but our range is 7. So here's the highest it goes. That's our highest value. So 7 is the largest value we're going to have. So it should be y is less than 7. So any value less than 7 could be a part of your range. So you say y is less than 7, meaning the range or y values are any value less than 7. All right. So again, what do we do when we don't have two endpoints? Let's label the endpoint. Okay, so I have -3 and 5. Okay, so again, go with your x value first and then your y. So you have -3, 5. Okay, Closed circle means less than or equal to. And again, the arrow means it does not stop, or it may stop and we just don't know where it stops. So it just keeps going. That means that data just keeps going. So I look at the domain. Okay, so let's look at right here. My domain is -3 is the starting point. But my values this time are getting larger. So we can say x is greater than -3. It can be any value greater than -3. It actually needs to be greater than or equal to. Okay, so that's actually wrong. Meaning the domain or x values are any value greater than or equal to -3. Again, this is the wrong symbol. We need to put greater than or equal to here. So my range, okay, so my range is, and again, I messed that up too. So y is less than 5. So this is as high as it goes, but because it's a closed circle, it should be less than or equal to. It should be this image right here. So that's a little bit of a mess up. But in words, it's written correctly. Nope, it is not.